5.
Curry hits a three.
4.
Just over the drive. Deep left field.
3.
Patrick hit by Watt. Sack number 10.
2.
Messi with a record-breaking goal.
1.
Welcome to BSS Sports. Now, here are your hosts, Steve and Trevor.
Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of BSS Sports. My name is Steve Schill with the ever lovely Trevor Struthers, and not everybody's a wrestling fan, and that's okay. But last night, Rob Gronkowski decided to join in on WrestleMania. Trev has the story.
Well, actually, he is close friends going back to before, like a while ago, with one of the performers. And so, I mean, he was there to help him and ultimately, kayfabe-wise, helped him win the match. He was there ringside, and then one of the opposing performers got in his face and threw an empty plastic cup at him. Then Gronk got angry, hopped over the barricade. I don't think the security guard was informed that he was supposed to get involved because she got right over there in a hurry and maybe didn't know who Gronkowski was. And then he eventually worked his way into the ring, performed a shoulder tackle into the guy that threw the cup at him, and helped his friend win a match that was on the pre-show. So if you want to see the clip, it's on YouTube. As a part of the WrestleMania kickoff show. But, that's essentially it in a nutshell. And I wonder if the Patriots had a say, potentially, in that thing going down.
Hey, it's good public relations. You get the Gronk in WrestleMania, then you have all those fans.
Yeah, this is also a guy that could not finish the season because he wasn't healthy.
Ah, very true, very true. Trevor's managerial cap is on. So, in soccer news, there's a guy named Bastian Schweinsteiger, and if you're a Germany fan whatsoever, he's kind of a big deal. And he played for Bayern Munich, but they then traded him to Manchester United, and Jose Mourinho didn't play him, the former Chelsea manager, and now he's joining the MLS, which people are continuously referring to as the Retirement League. And now Jose Mourinho is saying, I didn't treat him right, except when he asked, I had to treat him right then, so I let him leave, and he regrets it, whatever. Either way, Bastian Schweinsteiger is now playing for the Chicago Fire, of all teams, scored in his debut, so if you see the German man out in MLS and down in Toronto, be sure to say a good old hi to Bastian Schweinsteiger. So, in Blue Jays news, the opening day kind of start of the Blue Jays season is tonight, and they take on the Baltimore Orioles. But more of the news coming out is Melvin Upton Jr. being released from the Jays. A lot of talks about it. They just did the trade to take his cap hit to get some prospects, while others are saying, no, we actually needed help with the outfield. Trev, what's kind of your takeaway now that we released him?
I know they were hoping for Angel Pagan to be interested in coming to Toronto. I don't even know if that guy's signed yet. The season did start yesterday, but I haven't even heard an update as to if Pagan ended up going anywhere. As of this time last week, he wasn't anywhere. But I don't think they were overall just impressed with his play at all. And now he's out there for another team to get a look at. There was a rumor out there about a week ago that he wasn't going to be making the opening day roster. I thought maybe they tried to put him down to the minors through waivers or something. But Melvin's a professional, like a major league player. He's a major league level player and has been for a while. So I think it was more of a respectful thing maybe to release him. And I think, he's not done playing yet, so something's going to happen. He either signs a major league deal with a team or maybe a minor league deal with a team if there is nothing at the major league level really there for him. And for the Blue Jays, they sort of have their outfield figured out. Obviously they don't do this if they don't re-sign Bautista, but it's not exactly deep back there, and so they could definitely use some extra arms. They don't have Saunders back there for this season, so that's a loss back there, and it's all about trying to figure out the pieces and everything. But right now, I mean, there's no Melvin Upton Jr. out there, but I mean, you still have Bautista, you still have Pilar, so you still have guys out there, obviously. Those are guys. If Bautista stays healthy, obviously, it's going to be important. And I mean, I don't know how many games we're actually going to see Bautista in the outfield, but with Kendrys Morales on this team, I feel like he's going to be that basic DH for a good chunk of the season. So that means Bautista is going to get his shots in the outfield, and Kevin Pillar is going to be out there for, assuming he doesn't get hurt, in a good, 2/3 of the season with the amount of games he could probably play being a younger guy. So they have their rough pieces there. I'm really excited to see how this season turns out.
I think that it's almost concerning to a point, because if we have the Toronto Raptors in the playoffs, potentially the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the Toronto Blue Jays season all going on at the exact same time, Trev, what do you think you'll be watching? Or is this a biased question because you're a Senators fan?
Well, I mean, no doubt the focus always in Toronto is watching the Maple Leafs, and I mean, it seems more and more like they're finding that they're going to be in the playoffs. I mean, whether they end up clinching or not, who knows, because it is that tight. But the Leafs are always the focus of the town. Now that the Blue Jays are starting up, they will start to gain some attention because people clearly have just missed baseball. By the way, I'm looking up if Angel Pagan is signed, and I'm not seeing it. So I think he's still out there. But yeah, the Blue Jays are going to take some people's attention away from other places, and but I mean, the thing with the Blue Jays is that their season's just starting. So really, what's going to happen is come the end of whenever the Leafs are done, the Raptors are done, then all that attention switches to the Blue Jays. And apart from opening or the home opener, we're not going to see too many people probably at the Rogers Center to start the season. But I mean, who knows? Because you could definitely make that argument that the Blue Jays over the last couple of years have been the most successful franchise in Toronto. So there's also that argument, and I think a lot of people are interested to see how this season turns out with the changes that have been made on the field for this year. Not too many changes, but obviously losing Encarnacion is that main one that stands out, and how everything's going to play out, how Morales does at the Rogers Center, stuff like that. But we'll find out. It's a long season, right? And these guys basically play every day, so they do get that chance to practically turn on the television every day and watch the Blue Jays. But I mean, yeah, the Raptors and the Maple Leafs seem like. We know the Raptors are in the playoffs. The Maple Leafs might be. So that's still going to be a huge focus, no doubt, in Toronto.
So we mentioned about the Ottawa Senators, and looking at the NHL playoffs, the Western Conference playoff picture has been decided. We have the Chicago Blackhawks, Anaheim Ducks, Minnesota Wild, Edmonton Oilers, San Jose Sharks, St. Louis Blues, Calgary Flames, and the Nashville Predators. But then over in the Eastern Conference, haven't had as much surety. We have Washington Capitals, Montreal Canadiens, Pittsburgh Penguins, the Columbus Blue Jackets, and the New York Rangers. But there is still a spot or two to be had. Toronto, Ottawa, Tampa, New York Islanders, kind of all in the mix for that one. How do you think the Senators are going to fare? How do you think Toronto's going to fare? Do you think Boston might sneak in?
I think Boston definitely has a shot, and there's no doubt about that. I think it's mainly partially because they're battling the two Canadian clubs that they might, but I don't know. The Toronto Maple Leafs, I've always just kind of thought that eventually they're going to fall out of the race. They haven't yet, which is interesting. They got, obviously, Frederik Andersen back, their goaltender. You need a starting goaltender in the middle of a playoff stretch, so now they have him back. So, I mean, the Leafs are in a solid situation. What's helping them is the fact the Ottawa Senators are banged up at the absolute wrong time. Carlson could be back any game, but I mean, whenever you lose a guy like that plays about 20, or definitely 25 minutes probably a game he logs on average, that's minutes you can't fill. Not to mention also on that back end, they lost Mark Methot for a while with that, I wanted to say vicious slash. The result was vicious. It wasn't an actually vicious slash, but so they lost Methot. CeCe went down last game. Zach Smith up front is out. But I mean, so they're without three of their top defensemen. Phaneuf's the number one defenseman on this team right now. Leaf fans know how that works out, so that's not good. And I mean, hey, the exciting thing for the Senators right now is Colin White's with the team in Detroit, and I mean that's a guy that from the GIF highlights that I've had the chance to see with his couple of games in Binghamton. He's an exciting guy to watch. So I had a chance to see Colin White play late last year in a pre-tournament game in Kingston for the World Juniors, and he's definitely a fun guy to watch. Put up some points in that game, and now he's got a shot here to play in the NHL, and he could legitimately help the Senators out in a spot where they need it. Unfortunately, he's not a defenseman, but right now he's going to be able to hop in up front and probably contribute. I mean, this guy brings skills to the table that depth forwards like a Tom Pyatt or even a Zach Smith can't bring.
So, in the NHL standings, I mean, you got to look at the win-losses, and the Colorado Avalanche, just for, simple amusement purposes, they have 54 losses on the season. No team has 54 wins. But Colorado has 54 losses, so that's your trivia fact of the day. And the other one is Derrick Rose is probably the most injured NBA player in history. Goes down again, remaining part of the season he will be out with torn left knee cartilage, which sounds disgusting. Is it time for Derrick Rose to hang up the shoes? I mean, I'm a Derrick Rose fan, but I mean, when you have that many knee injuries, you kind of have to take a step back and look at the situation.
You definitely do. There's no doubt about it. And, just the amount of injuries and really the setbacks, if anything. But the guy's 28 years old, 29 in October. So he's not exactly there yet, I would say. They definitely have to try to stick it out for as long as possible. But, I mean, it depends on the longevity of this injury, no doubt. Now that we're at the tail end of this season, there is that, just kind of gives them a longer off season to try to get back healthy for next year, something along those lines. And, I don't think he should hang it up just yet, but it's definitely unfortunate. And I don't know about the most injured player. It'd be interesting to maybe look that up, but he's definitely been the most injured, high-profile player, and it definitely shows in the media attention that these get.
Kind of confusing. Good old Devin Booker of the Phoenix Suns, right?
Yes.
He scores 70 points. That's pretty good and all. I mean, I think he's 18 or something, so 70 points in the NBA is pretty great. But then he ends up sitting 2 games afterwards due to an ankle injury he aggravated in that 70-point game. Why does Phoenix work this kid so damn hard?
Because who else are they going to have do it?
Exactly.
I mean, that's what it comes down to. Like, he's 20 years old, right? Like, I'm like the same age, but I'm nowhere near in the shape Devin Booker is. Trust me on that. But you can work those guys for a while. And hey, basketball is all about, it's a roster of like 12 guys, right? So it's already a smallish roster. Yeah, you ride the guys you have, and really, at least they're finding out what they have in Devin Booker, and that 70-point game is promising.
That's what Tom Thibodeau did with the Bulls not too long ago, and we all knew how that turned out. That's it for this edition of BSS Sports. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and like us on Twitter at BSS Sports. Archiving all the works on YouTube at BSS Productions. For Stephen Schill, which is me, and Trevor Struthers, which is him, we'll catch you at next.